Just for the next few minutes, I want to focus on the city of Chicago, where a dramatic showdown is underway between the US president and city and state leaders. It's over Donald Trump's desire to send in the National Guard to quell protests against his immigration raids. Just have a look at this video. It was posted by the Homeland Security Secretary this weekend. These ICE raids have been going on for several weeks. More than 1,000 people have been arrested, and the tactics have become increasingly violent. That's led to almost daily demonstrations outside detention facilities. If you listen to the White House, well, the city is a crime-riddled war zone.
There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation.
Well, that was the president last month, but despite what he claims, this is a political thing. Just have a look at the places targeted so far. Portland, Los Angeles, Memphis, Washington, and now Chicago. All cities in blue states run by the Democrats. Critics believe Donald Trump is trying to foment violence to justify sending in troops. He's even threatened to invoke an anti-insurrection law to sidestep any court orders blocking him. Let's get more analysis now on this, and let's just have a listen to this first. Actually, let's bring in our US correspondent, David Blevins, who joins us live now from Chicago. And David, as I was just saying there, President Trump is saying this isn't political at all. He wants to crack down on crime, bring back in law and order, the kind of language we continue to hear from him. But of course, his critics, his opponents say this is absolutely political.
Yes, and because of those different viewpoints, Chicago is a city on edge right now because people do not know what will happen next. 200 National Guard troops from Texas have mobilized on the outskirts of this city. Another 300 from here in Illinois are on standby, and the expectation has been that they will deploy today. Now, we've been to an ICE facility just outside the city that has seen lots of protest in recent days. There were no troops there yet, and to be honest, no real sign of any need for them. The president says they're being deployed to protect immigration agents and to fight crime. But the city's officials say Chicago is a safe place and there is no need for troops on the street. The governor, J.B. Pritzker, says the president is punishing Democrat-run cities and accusing him of sowing chaos so that he can impose martial law. That's the language he uses. Now, the president, of course, would deny that, but Donald Trump says the governor and the mayor should both be arrested, and he's accusing them of endangering the lives of immigration agents. And he is now threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act, which is a 200-year-old law that has been used, I think, only once since the race riots and the anti-war protests of the 60s, and that was to quell disorder in Los Angeles in 1992. But there is a real fear in these communities. We've spent some time with the Hispanic community. They say they're feeling sad, they're feeling helpless, and there is a very real concern that the president will carry out his threat. Our colleagues at NBC are hearing from sources in the White House that this has moved from a debate there about whether to impose the Insurrection Act to when they will impose the Insurrection Act.
And David, just very briefly, I mean, the idea of moving the National Guard from one state to another is also just something that is not, commonplace. And that's sort of left many people concerned and worried about these actions.
Yet it is highly unusual, and I suppose it explains why the president is considering using the Insurrection Act, because that gives him permission to deploy the military on the streets of the United States in a case of civil unrest or national emergency. But no national emergency has been called at this stage, and it also explains why there are so many court challenges. In Portland, Oregon, for example, a judge has already blocked the federal government's attempt to deploy troops there. And here in Chicago, Chicago. A federal judge has deferred that decision until tomorrow. She says she wants to hear the full argument, but I think that, I suppose, fuels the speculation that the government might act first and deploy those National Guard troops onto the streets of Chicago, perhaps even before the end of today, Alda.
David, thank you so much for bringing us up to date there.